again and welcome back. And here I am. Sorry for the couple faceless videos, so don't know how much it really matters to you if you see my face or not, but you got it today for this lesson. So we are in chapter 7. This one is much shorter than chapter 6. I know the video got a little long. So chapter 7 is about groups. I say versus teams, but we're going to talk about groups, we're going to talk about teams, which works better, and a bunch of other things. So we're in chapter 7, and the first thing the chapter does is define groups, which is significant because you fail to understand typically, as I just used defensive language, sorry about that, the concept of interdependence, or that group members are interdependent. What this means is you affect other people. We have such a high level of individualism in our society, we tend not to think about anyone else except ourselves. And in a group, that's exactly the opposite. I mean, you can't think like that. You all affect each other. You are interdependent. You mutually influence one another, and hopefully you have ongoing communication. And usually we say a group is a specific size. I like to say 5 to 6 is ideal for a team, a work group. You know, you start getting much larger than that, it causes issues. So you can see here in the picture, I put on this slide intentionally because I'm in it in the front, and you see the guy in the purple helmet looking over the side, and that is because we have just lost one of our group members out of the boat. He fell out. We cannot go on without him. Of course, we all were posing for the camera, unaware that the guy fell out, but we immediately had to back paddle, and our entire concern was getting this member back in the boat. We are interdependent. We affect one another. So the book goes on to really talk about how leaders emerge. And I think this is important because some students will come to me and say, I don't want to be a leader, but people always pick me. How can I get out of it? I'm going to explain that, and I'm going to explain how to emerge as a leader. The Minnesota studies, which are talked about in your book on 217, talk about method of residues. And this is really the idea as we start talking and getting to know one another, we kind of weed out people until we're left with 1 or 2 leaders. And I want to say 1 or 2 because I do believe you can have multiple leaders in a group. You may have a task leader, and you may have more of someone who's the social or relationship leader. Maybe you have the creativity leader and the task leader. I absolutely believe more than 1 leader can emerge at different times within the group's life. So you definitely have to be open to that. I find that people who immediately try to give titles like president, vice president, secretary, I actually find that harming to groups. I think it sets up a false hierarchy and inequality in the group and doesn't allow certain people to emerge when their skill set is being used best. For instance, I often tell people I'm creative. I love ideas. That is my strength. So at the beginning of projects, I tend to emerge as a leader because I have lots of ideas. I'm not as interested in the task follow through. I need someone else to emerge and take on that role. So we have to be flexible to allow emergent leaders to happen when their skill set is most needed. But there are ways you can just avoid leadership altogether. And these are also ways others may say, we're not going to pick you as a leader if you do them. So if you're wondering why you never emerge as a leader, maybe you're engaging in some of these other activities. So the first one is to be absent and not even say why. Even if you say why and you're absent a lot, it's one of those things where it's just not likable by groups. When you miss meetings, when you don't show up, you're already not conforming to group norms or standards, and people are going to be less likely to be lenient with you or see you as a responsible figure. They contribute very little, so maybe you're very quiet. Again, this is difficult for some people who are on the quieter side but have good things to contribute. You have to be willing to speak. You have to have some willingness to communicate. A lot of people will just volunteer to be secretary. If you're the note taker, by default, you can't be anything else. It's a very, very convenient technique. Also, be willing to do whatever you're told. This is an interesting one because I think students use it a lot in this group. They'll just say, well, I'll just do whatever. People see that as kind of apathy, and that may be why you're not emerging as a leader. If you don't even know your strengths, if you are just willing to do whatever you're told. I know my strengths. I know what parts of projects and things on faculty committees and stuff that I would like to do, and those are what I go for. Just being willing to do whatever, again, it shows you don't know yourself, you don't know your skill set, and you're somewhat apathetic, and you probably will not emerge as a leader. Now, on the opposite end, coming on too strong early on is a turnoff as well. Someone who's like, oh, I have to do it this way, and we've got all these great ideas, and here's what we're gonna do. And that can kind of be like, whoa, 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 you've already decided, and you haven't included the rest of us. And being that kind of strong person early on can actually detract people because they think you may be taking too much control. So it's a balance. Assume the role of joker. I sometimes do this, which is can be detrimental, but also I think it's a leadership role that I serve on a maintenance level because I do like to joke around. But if you're too jokey, again, it affects the perception of how responsible you are. And you want that if you're going to emerge as a leader. So that one's a little bit difficult because I do think humor can be used a little bit more in leadership than what the research shows. And that's probably due to my own biases as a sarcastic kind of leader humor person. We don't like know-it-alls. We talked about this in the defensive versus supportive language. People who know everything tend to turn us off because it means they're not open to collaboration. So why are we even having a group? We don't like it. And then obviously if you just dislike leadership, you're probably not going to emerge as a leader. And that's saying ultimately you don't want to be responsible for other people. You're not showing ability to be interdependent. This is the whole concept of team building exercises. People who go out and consult and do team building exercises, one of the things we're trying to do is to get you to realize you need the other people, and that the other people affect you and help you to complete the team. And sports metaphors are just rich for teamwork because you might notice the difference between a group of 5 basketball players on a court, but what about 5 players who are a true team? They work in unison. They know where the other person's going to be before they're there. They are incredibly interdependent. So what is the difference in teams versus groups? And I wanted to point this out because I kind of pick and choose at this chapter. And this starts on 232. But we do want to move from being just a group to moving to a team because we know that teams are more effective. So most of your experience in college is probably with groups. You throw a bunch of people together randomly and you have to get a task done in a short time. This does not help build a team. We want teams because teams have a higher level of cooperation and cohesiveness, which will probably bring out better ideas and better production. Teams also usually consist of members with diverse skills. Some of the problems in college is you group with a bunch of people who are similar to you, who are your friends, and you find out, well, we're all task people and we have no good ideas. Or maybe you group with your friends and you're all humor and joking, which is great, but you're never going to get anything done. You actually need diverse skills. And it's funny because when I used to teach small group, I would ask people, tell me your strengths, and listen to each person as they went around the room and said their strengths and weaknesses. Because if you're a task person, yes, you want some other task people, but listen to who is the idea person, or listen to the person who has expertise in something your group will need. And we have a tendency to just discredit that and go with everyone who's all similar or people we know, and that usually harms us. So teams have to have a diverse set of skills. You cannot all be the forward basketball player on the team. You need all the positions, and you've got to find a team that excels in the diversity of skills. Teams typically have a stronger group identity. Here's something that's very interesting. And again, when I teach small groups, I would tell the groups, you need to name your group. Because by doing that, you are no longer 5 or 6 individuals. You are the hive. I had a group in China. The girls were so cute. They named their group the Hives, and they were the queen bees of their project. And what that's doing is it's fostering unity. It's a simple way to say, I'm one of this greater team. It's no longer an individual mindset. It's about the group. And so certainly having a team name or having a team ritual or wearing a team uniform, all of those things mentally, what they're doing is showing you're one, not 6. And overall, if we can foster that team mentality, you're going to benefit more. Teams produce better output, higher levels of cooperation and cohesiveness. So overall, we want to take groups and truly move them to a team, and there's many things we can do to do that. This is actually coming from a different source, this distinguishing factors on teamwork. This is from Larson and LaFasto. And they're some very eminent researchers in small groups and teams. And they looked at over 10,000 different effective teams and said, what are they doing that makes them so effective? Well, here it is. There are 6 factors, and they're broken into 2 categories. You have the working knowledge factors. Those are experience and problem-solving ability. Interestingly enough, the working knowledge, the thing we think that is probably the highest when we hire someone, is only 2 factors. Look at the other 4. These are all, I think, communication factors, or some might even say soft skills. And their soft skills are driving the market right now. I can teach you how to learn a specific program. What I might not be able to teach you is openness, supportiveness, the teamwork factors. So let's look at what these mean because they're not in your book. Openness is just that, being willing to be open to new ideas, open to new things, open to collaboration. So I go to China this summer, and I was really trying to be open to foods because I can be a bit picky, and I thought this is the time, be open, try things. I ate eel. I got sick after I ate the eel, but the eel was good. I did not enjoy the ox tongue, but I tried it. The idea here is people who are open to exploring different alternatives, open to saying, wait a minute, it's okay, we don't have to do everything the same way every time. And that's very difficult to teach someone. And I think intercultural travel is a good example. When people can't be open to changing the ways they do things, they're just not going to do it when you're not open. Personal style is really positiveness in Larson and LaFasto's world. And this idea that you're a positive person, you tend to bring out good things in others. I explain this as when you have a glass that's filled with liquid halfway, do you say the glass is half full or half empty? Personal style in this regard would be you're a person who says the glass is half full. You're encouraging, you're positive, which leads into supportiveness. That you are a supportive person and you communicate supportiveness. Go back to those defensive and supportive communication behaviors we talked about. It's a huge part of being an effective team member. And the last one you see there is that you're willing to take action. You don't necessarily have to be told what to do. You will take action, you're action driven, and you're motivated. So those teamwork factors, those soft skills, all of communication base, the working knowledge, the experience, I can teach you that. And I find that employers, they're looking at the teamwork factors. They're hiring on that. And it's kind of made people a little bit mad between COMM and journalism and media studies, because I think our COMM majors win out on some of the PR jobs because they've got the teamwork factors. They may not be as experienced in the writing factors and the journalism factors, but they get the PR jobs. Most of the students that graduate are working in PR, and they're comm majors because they've got the teamwork factors, they've got the soft skills, and those are more important in teams. Oh, this dreadful picture here. This was a group I was in college called Suffos. We were a service organization. So yes, I am in this picture. We did all wear our sweatshirts one day a week on Wednesdays. We had meetings. We had bonding activities. We even got hazed upon learning we were asked to be a member of this high service organization. So I have to say a few words about hazing. Hazing, if we don't do it anymore, but it's a rite of passage or an initiation. I think fraternities and sororities still have some kind of initiation. Lambda Pi Eta, our COMM Honor Society, has an initiation ceremony. Like I said, I got hazed with this group. They drug us out of our beds in the middle of the night, blindfolded us, drove us out into the middle of nowhere, and egged and floured us. And, it was kind of horrible, but you could do that back then. The university doesn't allow it now where I was at. They outlawed it actually the following year, which was sad because we felt that others didn't have to go through what we went through. So I don't want to go too far into small group theory, but certainly a rite of passage, an initiation. This also helps foster a teamwork attitude. And if you have not found me yet in this picture, you should look smack dab in the middle. And I'm just saying big hair was in, okay? All right. What does this all boil down to? This is the most important slide right here. And I can't stress that enough. An effective team leader is a competent communicator, and they're capable of using supportive communication. Why is that so important? The last stanza. If I want good ideas, if I want to change things, make decisions, move things forward, that's risky. People don't like change, and people don't like to talk about controversial issues. So how do I open that door? Well, the only way is with a supportive climate. If you want to encourage risk-taking, you have to have a climate where people feel they'll be supported. If people feel like their ideas are just going to be shot down, nobody's going to ever take a risk. Nobody's going to offer anything new. I see this time and time again where people say, I'm not speaking up, I don't want to get in trouble, or I don't want my idea to get bashed down, or I'm not going to say anything, nothing's going to change anyway. In the classroom, and this is where online I think is a detriment, it gives you, yes, I know, a lot of freedom, but in the classroom, I try to build a really supportive climate so that when opinions and ideas come out, we can talk about them. Now, you probably wouldn't offer your ideas or opinions if you felt the climate was defensive or that someone was going to say something rude to you. It's my job as a leader to make sure you feel safe, that you feel comfortable, so that you bring up the issues that need to be talked about. Otherwise, no change will come, and you are defeated as a leader. So I hope you, again, do read the climate article. I will not get too far off afield into small group theory. I think that's all we're going to say for now. You have the team player survey to take. Enjoy that. And we'll see you back for more theories.